This is the Meaning Business Podcast, your go-to source for business tips, advice, growth, and exit strategies, hosted by Coudrey and Peter Spinda. Each episode, we bring you real stories, expert insights, and practical advice to help you succeed in today's market. Let's dive in.
Hello and welcome to the Meaning Business Podcast. My name's Pete Spinda, and with me is
Bruce Coudrey. I thought I'd leave a little pause there for suspense.
Nice, and thank you again for tuning in to this lovely episode. Now, we're going to let you in on a secret today, and the secret is this. For over 100 years, we've actually been told a lie, and the lie is that the customer is always right. That's actually a lie. It's incorrect. The customer is not always right. So we're going to unpack this. We're going to talk about this, what it means for you as a business owner, what we can do about it, and ultimately, we'll talk about how to fire a customer and why you should fire the customer.
Man, you're telling a roster. You're wrong. The customer's not always right.
That's right.
That sounds very satisfying.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So what's interesting about this is, doing a bit of research in preparation for this topic, is that just like diamonds are a girl's best friend, were started by the De Beers Corporation in order to sell more diamonds, this whole concept of the customer is always right actually came out of a marketing activity from 1909, and I've got it here. Harry Gordon Selfridge, so founder of Selfridges in London, he actually coined this term. So prior to 1909, it turned out that in the retail space in particular, retailers were quite wary of customers. They thought that all customers were going to go in there and steal their stuff and that they're shonky and shady, and they didn't trust the customer. So what Selfridge wanted to do was change that paradigm and have a more sort of friendly approach to retail. And so he came up with this marketing concept that the customer is always right. And that quickly spread. So in the US, a handful of big retailers took that on board quite quickly, pushed it out aggressively. And within a few years, it spread around the world. And as we know today, it's a mantra that is spoken everywhere that we go.
As if it's a fact.
Right. As if it's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I started in business in 83, I lived by that. No matter what happened, customer's right. Customer's always right.
Yep, that's it. Customer's always right. And so it's almost like it's part of our culture as business owners that we're thinking, right, it's always the customer, and our staff have to be taught that you've got to look after your customer and do whatever it takes to look after that customer. But it's a lie. It's a big, fat lie, because the customer is not always right. And so we'll unpack this a little bit more.
Can't possibly be.
No, absolutely not. Now, the reality is that there are actually bad customers out there. And as we're sort of looking through the research, there's 4 key categories of customers, so bad customers. So number one, we've got the abuser. So you got those customers that abuse our staff, that abuse the facilities, abuse what we're giving them as business owners, as service providers. And it might be that they take too much. It might be that they're physically abusing our team members. Then we've got the black hole customers. They're the customers that just drain us. They drain our time, our energy, our money. We're spending so much of our time with them with little to no return, little to no impact. Then we've got the discount chasers. All they care about is the bottom line. All they care about is how cheap can you go, Bruce? Give me an extra 1% off. Give me an extra 50 cents off.
That steal's never good enough.
Exactly. They're always pushing it. And interestingly, with the discount chasers, not only do they typically want the best deal, so they want the lowest price, they also want the most, so they want the Ferrari for $20,000 and they want the service, they want everything else. And then we've got the last type of customer, and we call them the scope creep. So they're the ones where you agree with on a particular service, or you agree on whatever they're going to buy. And then when the time comes to deliver, or as you're delivering, they're like, oh, but can you also add this into it, Bruce? Oh, by the way, can you do this? Can you do that? Oh, can you just give me another 2 bottles of this and this, that, and the other? Oh, but no, the price can't change because we've agreed on the price, but I want more, and the scope creep. So these 4 bad customer types, I've seen this certainly in the various businesses that I've been. I'm sure you've seen these.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any interesting, anecdotes or bad customers that sort of pop into your mind?
First of all, because we have this mantra built innate, which is the customer's always right, we tend to just bend to their wishes and to what they're asking, the creep situation. And unconsciously, we give them the power, and they take advantage of that power. Yep. But it's not a fair equation, really, is it?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, there's So sometimes we create our own bad customer too. We educate them to be selfish and
Yep.
to treat us like we're second-class citizens and that we work for them and
Yep.
we're beholden to them. We've let them take that position.
Absolutely.
I was going to talk about it later, but I might jump in here now.
Yeah.
I was just on a 3-week tour around Canada and Alaska, and you're in a tour group, and you go to different hotels, and what happens is you learn that tour groups get the crappy rooms because they've bulk bought. In my group, there was 83 people. So take all these rooms, they get the crappy rooms. The hotels just give you those rooms. And then if you're a paying customer, you get these rooms. And if you're in the special club, you get these rooms. So inadvertently, we get different service to the other people. So you're going there and you're checking in, and these people are getting their bags taken in their room, and they get a breakfast and stuff, and you get treated like a second-class citizen.
Yep.
So it's not just that, I'm a good or bad customer, but I've been led to feel like I'm a bad customer. So I come down to get breakfast or whatever, and I got told, oh, no, you're over there, or you don't get this, or, your room's noisy or whatever it is, because that's the ticket you bought, mate.
Absolutely. And that's an interesting one, isn't it? That sometimes the bad customer is only bad because of the circumstance. So it could be that we've promoted something, we marketed something that, okay, come on board and you're going to get this, expectations. And then when they realize that expectation and reality are very different, they change and they become a different type of customer. They could become the abuser. They could become, the black hole that starts draining you. But the only reason they're doing that is because you've set the expectation. You made a promise and they're responding to that.
Yeah.
So sometimes they're actually not bad customers. No. It's actually because of the business. The other thing that I've seen is, especially in startup businesses, in the service industry, and I made this mistake many years ago as well, where because you're wanting to build your brand and your reputation in those early days, you overservice, you overpromise, you overdeliver, and that sets up the expectation that moving forward, that's what they're always going to get. And then as your business grows, obviously then you're starting to put in more systems and processes and more structure. They're getting less. And so then they're starting to change, and in your view, they're becoming a bad customer because they're demanding more. Where in reality, you created that.
That's right.
So there's this.
And I think if you're aware of that, then you can fix it.
Yes.
If you're not aware of it, it happens and you can't do anything about it.
Absolutely.
So having that awareness is important.
Absolutely. But I tend to sort of look at those as slightly the outliers.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the reality is that there are some customers that we just shouldn't have. I remember few years ago, and we actually recorded an episode on this when we talked about lessons from getting sued. And I'll never forget this one, the worst client I've ever had, we ended up having a legal argy-bargy. The reality is that when that engagement started, the gut internally, I already knew. I was like, man, this is going to be hard work.
But you took it on.
We took it on in any case, and it was very, very hard work, very hard moving, challenging. And in the end, we had a legal issue that got sorted, settled, we won. But the point there is that I knew not to take that customer on, but I still decided to make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
So sometimes, we have these situations in business where we just know it, but we're going contra to what we should be, what we should be doing.
So during that messy customer situation, I recall that one, did you feel, or that client felt, that the customer is always right? And did you feel that you were thinking the customer is always right?
Absolutely. And I initially, as things were escalating, I was really doubting myself, and I'm thinking, okay, I've got to give doubt to the customer. They're definitely right. They're definitely right. And there was a tipping point, though. There was a particular moment, a tipping point, conversation I'll never forget on the phone. I won't go into it, but that was when I hung up the phone. I knew immediately that it wasn't me. I knew immediately that this is the wrong customer for us. It's the wrong person. And that was a bit of pill to swallow, because that's when I realized, man, I made the wrong choice.
Oh, it's going to happen.
So the lesson for me from there is that I've been willing to take this on board, and I have fired other customers since. Not a lot. It doesn't happen a lot, but you've just got to be willing to make that call sometimes. I had to make that call last year, where I had to part ways with the client because it just wasn't for us, and it just wasn't working. And I'm sort of jumping ahead, but you kind of know when you've got the wrong customer when you put yourself through a hypothetical scenario. And the hypothetical is, if I don't have that customer or client, how am I going to feel? And if the feeling is relief, if the feeling is, oh man, I'm glad that's over, then you know you got the wrong customer.
Yeah.
And
But
so,
sometimes, sorry, Pete.
yeah, go for it.
Sometimes you don't know at the outset whether
That's
that
right.
party's going to be the right person or not,
Absolutely.
or the relationship's going to be right,
Absolutely.
or their expectations are going to be right or not.
It's kind of like hiring staff, recruiting staff. You can put them through the psychometrics and the different assessments. And some people are just amazing in the interview stage. They do you so well. And I've had this happen.
Yeah, of course.
You're like, oh, I can't wait for this person to start. Month 1 goes by, and then month 2, you're thinking, I'm just not seeing it. Month 3, you're like, oh man, I think I made the bad choice.
Yeah.
And that's just how we learn. But the key thing is that you've got to be able to recognize it and then make that call to go, you know what? Got to let go of you as a customer.
And I think that's why we're talking about it, because if you can take advantage of the experiences that we're talking about here today, you can put in this expectation with the customer or a measure to decide, like you just said, how would you feel if you didn't have that customer? These are the things we should be thinking about and considering.
Absolutely. And there's key reasons why you want to do this. So first of all, bad customers lead to staff burnout, turnover. That's absolute given. Second of all, there's the opportunity cost. You're spending all that time on that customer, and so then you go, okay, well, how much time are you actually losing? What opportunities have you missed out? I've just got it listed here as I remember. There's the brand reputation, and the brand reputation is an interesting one because there's 2 angles to it. There's the brand reputation of the stakeholders. So what are the stakeholders going to think of your brand? So they're not just the staff, but other parties that are involved to do with your business, whether it be suppliers or other. And then, of course, you've got the marketplace and the brand reputation in the marketplace. You got the financial drag because usually bad customers end up costing you way more money than what you're going to make on them. There's the cultural damage internally. So if you've got poor staff morale, you've got high turnover, typically you end up having a poor culture within an organization as a result. And then performance tends to drop, then your turnover goes up again. So it's this vicious circle. And then long term, you've got the long-term risk where the wrong customer can actually lead to significant strategic problems for your business. It can actually lead to the demise of the business. So this is why it's really important that you address this and you don't hide from it and you rip off the Band-Aid if you need to and move on bad customers.
So just listening to you inspired me to think about this thing I heard Simon Sinek say a while ago, which is, if you work hard in a job that you hate, that's stress. If you work hard in a job that you love, that's passion.
Yep.
And I think it's the same with the relationship with good customers. If you can have great customers, then there's no stress. If you're working with customers you don't like, or that you doesn't work with for whatever reason, expectations are not set properly, it's stress.
Yes.
If you can work with people that you love working with and there's a great relationship, that's passion.
Absolutely.
And I've seen, legal practitioners and accountants and doctors and so on who love their patient or customer working out of hours and going extra mile because they just love working with those people. And that's a good relationship.
It is.
And so it's not just about, diagnosing the bad customer, but also seeking out the ones that we can work with and that we love working with and make sure turns stress into passion.
And you hit it on the head. So the key thing with when it comes to the bad customers is let's avoid them. And the way that we avoid them is identifying who do we want as the ideal customer. That's when that activity is really important. And when I mean ideal customer, don't focus on the money. Don't focus on the customer that's going to spend $100,000 with you. Focus on the relationship component, because I can tell you for a fact that if you've got strong relationship with your customer, money will 100% come.
Yeah.
100% will come. And what ends up happening is you end up having fun. You end up then getting referrals from your customer. You end up forming friendships like you and I have formed over the years, and you actually achieve a lot more together.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the important thing in there is that it's not just aligning on everything, but it's having that sort of relationship where you can have a bit of argy-bargy, where you listen to each other, you have that respect, but you're always moving towards a common goal and you're working together towards a common goal.
That's great. It's important. In fact, if you weren't having that discussion about the things you didn't agree upon, then there's something missing. You need to be able to have that respectful conversation. It's the same in families.
Absolutely.
I think. So there's this very, very good lawyer who I think is brilliant, and he decided to just pick and choose who he works with. And he figured out that for him, the way to decide if this person was someone he could work with, nothing about money, was he imagined, can I spend 2 hours sitting beside this person in a flight, in an airplane or more?
Yep.
And so, Barry, maybe, Jill, Peter, and that was just a simple way for him to decide who he wanted to work with in the future.
It's super powerful. Now, some people might think, oh, but then that's going to reduce the amount of customers I have or potentially how much money. It's actually quite the opposite. You'll end up having more customers, better quality. You'll make more money. That's the key thing.
Yep.
In our advisory business, for example, we track time more for an internal thing, but we actually don't track time. So we quite often will do more for our customers and clients than what's needed. But the reason we do that is because we have fun. We like our clients. We actually do. So if you're a client of ours and you're listening to this, I like you. That's why we're working together. And I have belief. We have belief in our clients. We have belief in their business. In this case, we believe in their abilities.
And that's mutual, I think, too.
Absolutely.
And then, you have that respect and that, but you're doing things for the right reason. So we started this business, the advisory, because we saw so many poor practitioners. And one of the things I think that was like a key note that you could identify was they're just going through the motions, charging the fee to get the revenue.
That's right.
But I feel that one of the great things that I've witnessed with you guys is that you get excited about turning things around. You get excited about how you can grow the margin or reduce the costs or improve efficiency, whatever it is, the HR side of whatever it is. And it's more than just the client relationship. It's more about more than the money. It's about seeing the reality, the plan come into reality. That's exciting.
And so if we go back to that analogy that you said before about the lawyer and spending time in a plane, my metric is basically how excited you get about your business, because that tells me a lot. And so the client, for example, that we parted ways with last year, there was no excitement. I tried my hardest to bring the excitement, and the excitement just wasn't there. And it was a mismatch in terms of the focus. It's nothing to do with the relationship or anything like that. It was more the fact that we're trying to do something and we just weren't on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
And that excitement is really critical, especially from an advisory point of view, because that's when I know that, okay, you'll take the advice. You'll at least listen to it. It doesn't mean that you're going to do it. So that's your choice. If we'll work together on moving forward.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking here, and the question then you might be asking is, okay, well, how do I know when I need to fire a customer? Now, the first metric is obviously the financial side of things. There's the financial where you go, okay, if I'm a service provider and I'm meant to be delivering 20 hours, but I'm delivering 50 hours every single week because they're just hounding me, that's already a red warning sign. If it's a consistent thing, sometimes you've got to deliver 50 because for whatever reason. But if it's a continuous and if it's done in an abusive way, that's definitely, a big metric. But there's also the boundary side of things where if you then go, okay, you know what, Bruce, here's what we agreed to and we've got to draw the line. If the customer pushes back and arcs up, you're probably talking to the wrong customer. If, however, they go, you know what, actually, you're right, and they reflect, and you can make the adjustment, you're probably talking to the right customer. Obviously, you've got to keep monitoring the relationship. And the third component of the assessment is that the right customer is willing to work with your systems and your methodology, and not always be challenging, not always wanting everything their way because they believe they know best because they're the customer. So they're willing to take the advice. Now, it's not just an advisor I'm talking about. So it could be
retail,
manufacturing, whatever
farming.
It might be. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that is a sign that things aren't working is emotion. So it's business. We're in business together. We want to do business, and part of business is no emotion. It's about facts and numbers and what's right and, those sorts of things. So if we start finding that ourselves are feeling emotional or the client, the customer is expressing emotion, then that's probably not, there's something wrong. Now, there's some people who just cannot avoid being emotional, and they're probably not the sort of clients you want. Or making things about emotion. If we can identify that it's just business and we want to do business and we want to act in a business-like manner, then it makes everything, the relationship, so much easier, I think.
I think the most powerful indicator of whether a customer is right or wrong is actually driven by emotions.
Yeah.
And that's the fundamental component. So what we talked about just before in terms of the respecting the rules and the amount of hours you deliver, et cetera, that's one thing. But fundamentally, it's not that. Fundamentally, it's, it's when you wake up at 2 a.m. stressed about the customer, or when your customer calls you on the mobile phone, you're like, oh, not you again. Or you see the email coming through, or you got to deal with the customer, and you just don't want to deal with them. That's such a powerful. Listen to that gust, that instinct, because it's usually right.
Yeah, exactly. And you're back to the emotion thing. My little sort of measure is, or warning sign is, the louder they yell, the wronger they are.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's not always the case, of course, but if people are yelling, then there's something not right about the relationship or the way we're working together.
Yep.
Have you ever had, by the way, I digress here for a second, have you ever been in a conversation with someone and you're just talking normally and they say, stop, don't yell at me?
Yes.
Stop yelling at me. I feel like saying, I didn't yell. When did I yell?
Yeah.
I think that's a defense mechanism, and that's a sign that something's not working, the communication's not good.
So when I was reflecting before and talking about that client, that really bad client, and that one phone call, literally that happened in there.
Yeah.
And the whole don't yell led to an escalation between the two parties, and it led to the chaos and
the emotion,
and the emotions came out. And that's why the emotions are so powerful.
Yeah.
I
think that's why emotions need to be kept aside,
Absolutely.
It is emotion that keeps you awake at night, though, not logic.
Yep.
And unfortunately, or fortunately, you've got to think to yourself, why am I feeling emotional?
Yep.
Why is this making me feel so good, bad, angry, whatever it is? And deal with it logically and identify it and fix it.
Absolutely. Now, before we go on and talk about how we fire a customer, I just wanted to reassure everybody that it is okay to fire customers. There is no reason why you shouldn't if you need to. Don't fear the 1-star Google review. If you're fearing the 1-star Google review, then turn that paradigm around and go and chase the 4 or 5-star Google reviews. And ultimately, if someone leaves you a 1-star review, guess what? And if it's invalid, you can tackle that, but you can rectify it. You can talk, you can respond back, or you can, there's a few things you can do about it. But the point is, don't fear it, because the worst thing that you can do is let that fester, especially if you have staff, if you have team, because they're just going to look at you and go, hang on a second, why is the owner, why is my manager not taking action? All I'm doing is copying flack from this customer. They're abusive, they're this, that, and the other. Yep. Everyone can see it in the business, but the business owner doesn't have the gut to deal with it and do what needs to be done. Yep. So it is actually absolutely fundamentally paramount that if you've got bad customers, you've got to deal with it. And it might not be the firing straight away. And this is where the strategy of, okay, how do you fire a customer? The first thing that I think we need to do with those sort of bad customers is try and get on the same plane, because sometimes, like we started at the beginning, they're actually not bad customers. Sometimes it's a mismatch of expectations, it's a misunderstanding, and sometimes all you need to do is realign yourself with a customer, and all of a sudden you got no issues. And it's like being in a marriage. You have an argument with your partner, and it's happened to me several times. We're arguing back and forth, and we're like, hang on a second. The only reason we're arguing is because you interpreted that way, you interpreted that way, and we've just misinterpreted things. Communication issue. So the first thing is to try and align yourself. Once you've got that out of the way, and if you see then, okay, there is a clear misalignment, there's a clear issue here, then the best thing that you can do is rip it off very cleanly. Don't go into too much detail. Send them an email. Written is really important, or a formal letter if you need to. Advise that you're terminating the relationship. If you can, you might want to, or if you think you need to, point them in a different direction. Say, here's another business you can go and deal with, but don't go into detail. Don't start, because the detail is what starts the argy-bargy, and that can then cause too many problems.
So I got a strong thought on this. Recently, I was listening to someone talk about leadership, and they said there's 3 things that indicate good leadership: courage, integrity, and communication. So sometimes it takes a lot of courage to fire a customer.
That's right.
But it's the right thing to do. And sometimes we don't have the courage, so we walk around on eggshells and we're worried about that Google 1-star review, or upsetting you might have been introduced to this customer by somebody else, and the referral, you might be worried. Whatever it is, we need to have the courage to go, you know what, I need to address this.
Yep.
Courage in leadership, courage in business ownership, courage in relationships, courage to say to your partner, your breath smells or your fly's undone or you got something hanging out of your nose, is actually a good thing.
Absolutely.
But we commonly put it off because we just think, oh, it's going to go away or I don't want to deal with it. So if you really want to be a leader and you really want to have a successful business or relationship, we've got to have the courage to address it. We've got to have the integrity to do it the right way. And that means, by the way, if it's our fault, we need to acknowledge it.
100%.
There's
100%.
no point in not or pushing the responsibility to the other party.
Yes.
If it's our fault, we need to take that on.
100%. And so talking about our fault, a few years back, we had we were leading a digital project with a client, and the project went south. Didn't work as well as expected, and we had a bit of an argy-bargy with the customer. And when I really analyzed what happened, you know what? It was actually our fault. And so hopped on the phone and we had a good, transparent conversation. That just solidified the relationship. And we ended up winning much more work as a result, because they knew that, okay, we'll say it how it is, and we'll come and say, look, you know what? That was actually our fault. Here's how we're going to move forward. So we fixed the problem. We addressed it, the elephant in the room, and guess what? The relationship's solid. We move forward.
If you've got a history of bad relationships, the common theme is probably you.
Yeah, exactly.
So
quite typically, that's why you shouldn't have too many of these customers, unless you're too nice. That's we'll have that another podcast.
Even there, you've got to have the courage to sort of say, okay, maybe I'm too nice.
That's right. And look, the other thing that I'll add to it, and this is something I didn't even tell you this, a couple of weeks ago, I got a phone call, a representative from the client that we fired or parted ways with last year, asking what we're doing and whether we'd be interested in coming back and working with the client again. And I very respectfully declined, and for various reasons. But that's sometimes a powerful indicator that sometimes that people will go away and reflect and go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's us.
Yeah, that's right.
But
it happens.
You got to be willing to it goes back to an integrity thing. And sometimes you go, okay, well, you know what? I could take that on and there's money in it. But ultimately, I know that the battle's still going to be.
Yeah.
Ultimately, people, especially with certain personality traits, they don't change.
It's interesting, though. Sometimes people have a realization that, it was me, or I can fix that, or I need to go back to them, whatever it is. But they don't want to.
Yep.
Or they don't want to accept that, or they don't want to acknowledge that. And that's fair enough, too.
Yep. Absolutely. So,
but life's easier if you do.
It is.
You can look at each other in a party or a social function and go, hey, how's it going?
And guess what? If you step up and if you're willing to make the tough calls and make those tough decisions when they need to come, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to wake up at 2 a.m. worried about the client. You're not going to look at your phone going, oh my God, not you again.
Yeah, that's right.
You're going to be different. You're actually going to sleep well. And when you see the client or customer or whoever it is call you, you're going to be, oh, I can't wait to have a chat.
That's right. Exactly.
Great relationship.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you can hop on a plane, have a 2-hour chinwag with your client. You're going to enjoy it.
That can be true.
Absolutely. So don't fear firing the customer.
Yes.
The lie is that the customers are always right. That is incorrect. The customer
like diamonds are a girl's best friend. That might not be true.
That's exactly right. Thanks, Bruce. And on that note, we'll wrap it up. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks, Pete.
See ya.